Welcome back. Lesson 5-2 today. Second lesson in chapter 5. And we're going to be dealing with the rates. Okay, the rates are just a little bit harder. I'm not sure that's the right word, but the main difference between rates and ratios is you have two different units now. Okay, so let's define what a rate is. Okay, so a rate is a ratio of two quantities. Okay, so that's pretty much like a ratio was. But the main difference here is it's using two different units, a different one on the top and a different one on the bottom. Okay, we like to use the word per when we refer to a rate. Okay, and that would be that word right there. We like to, okay, so like miles per gallon, that is a rate. Okay, it's has two different units. It has miles and gallons. Okay, and we're comparing them with the word per. So, for example, number one, okay, this is what some of them are going to look like. It'll be okay, so they'll put it in words, right? 12 feet per 5 seconds. And again, we're reading left to right. Okay, we always read left to right. That's how we read our chapter books here in America. And so we would write that 12 feet per, that line right there, right, means per 5 seconds. Okay, so the only difference here is truly is this, the labels. Okay, because if we would just write 12 over 5, do you have any idea that the top is feet and the bottom is seconds? No, you wouldn't. Okay, and if you write it like this, this is considered a ratio because it has no labels on it. Okay, when you start putting labels on it, as you see over here, now you have a rate because we have two different units that we are comparing. Okay, I hope that's clear. Okay, let's try another one. So we can use money, right? There's a whole slew of rates out there in this world that we can use. I'm just going to pick a couple here. All right, so we have $1.40 per 4 apples. So if we were to write that as a rate, and maybe hopefully some of you are thinking, well, what about ratios, Mr. Fisher? We used the colon and the word to write ratios. Can we do the same using rates? And the answer is no, you cannot. Rates are expressed in fraction form only. Okay, so going back to our example here, we would have $1.40. Now, you might want to say, well, what's the label here, Mr. Fisher? it's the dollar sign. You need to have it, because if you just write 1.40, that's a decimal number. We don't know that that's associated with money. Okay, and at the bottom then we would put 4 apples. Okay, so labels, you got your dollar sign as a label, and you got the word apples as your label. That's what makes it a rate. Okay, plus you're comparing $1.40 per every 4 apples. Okay, let's try one more here. We have 150 gallons per 25 minutes. Okay, so again, we're reading left to right. 150, and you can abbreviate gallons, GAL, that's fine, per every 25 minutes. And again, I abbreviated minutes, MIN. Again, this is a rate because we have labels expressing what those numbers mean. If we just simply use numbers, now we have a ratio. Okay, so that's kind of the nuts and bolts of a rate. Okay, the produce section in the grocery stores here in town are a wonderful place to find rates. Okay, the gas station would be another. They're all over the place. Okay, so let's specifically talk about something called a unit rate. Now, these are kind of important because it compares a quantity of 1 unit of something compared to the other. Okay, so we need to have a 1 on top of our rate, or it can be on the bottom of the rate. Okay, so let me write the definition here. Okay, and the key there is that it's 1 unit. That's the key. You want to find how much 1 of something costs. Okay, so let's work through our examples, and I think you're going to find out that you know how to do this. It's kind of pretty easy. Okay, so if we have 12, and I'm just making these up as we go along, 12 necklaces. Okay, so we'll just say somebody can make 12 necklaces in 3 hours. Okay. The question would be, find the unit rate. Okay. So again, if we would put this in rate form, which would look like this, 12 necklaces per every 3 hours. Okay, so if we want to find, if we need to get a 1 on the top or the bottom, well, obviously it's not going to happen on top because the bottom number is smaller than the top number, right? So can we take the small number and divide it into the big one evenly? And the answer is yes, right? So we can take 3 and divide it by 3, and we can take 12 and divide it by 3, right? So that's going to give us 4 necklaces, right? Because 12 divided by 3 is 4. 3 divided by 3 is 1 in 1 hour. Okay, so this is our unit rate. Oops, not rates, just the rate. Okay, why is that a unit rate? Because it has a 1 in it. We found out that we can make 4 necklaces in 1 hour. Okay, the word unit is associated with the number 1. Okay, let's try another one. 228 students in 12 classes. Okay, so again, if we write this in rate form, 228 students and in 12 classes. Right, now this one's actually a little bit harder, right? You can divide by anything, right? Obviously, you could divide by 2, okay? But you're going to have to keep dividing because, again, we're talking about finding a unit rate. Okay, and again, knowing your facts, knowing division is really going to help you here. So if we divide by 12, because I know that 12 goes in, right? And again, if you haven't figured this out yet, always start with the smaller number. Okay, see if the smaller number can go into the bigger one. Okay, if it can, then you've obviously found the unit rate of something, and then you just have to divide correctly. Okay, so if we divide by 12, that's going to make 19 students per every one class. Okay, and again, there is our unit rate. Okay, you have a 1 in the rate. You found 1 of something. Okay, it's no different when you go to the grocery store when it says you can buy 2 lemons for $1. Okay, so obviously you want to know how much 1 lemon costs. That's pretty simple, right? You take half of it, right? You divide by 2. 1 lemon is 50 cents. Okay, that's why I mentioned earlier that the produce section is wonderful for finding rates. Okay, number 3, last one for unit rates, because this is a big topic. You're going to have to know how to do this. $12.50 for 5 ounces of something. Okay, now let's put this in rate form. So again, we have $12.50. Yeah, but Mr. Fisher, what's the label on that? Well, again, that's dollars, right? And we're going to talk about that here in a minute because that's kind of special as well. And we have 5 ounces on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to abbreviate that OZ because that's the abbreviation for ounces. Okay, well, 5 doesn't go into like 12 evenly. Okay, that doesn't always happen like the other 2. That's why I'm showing you this one. Okay, but if you divide by 5, okay, you are going to get a 1 on the bottom, which is what we're after. Remember that? We're after a unit rate. Okay, and again, it doesn't always have to fall on the bottom. In these examples, it does, but they're not always going to fall on the bottom. Okay, so now here's where you have to divide carefully, and this goes back to chapter 3, right, where you have to divide evenly. You can do a little bit of side math over here. Okay, and that comes out to be $2.50 per every 1 ounce. Okay, and again, there's your unit rate. Okay, it has a 1 in it. So 1 ounce costs $2.50. Okay, so that's the unit rate thing. Okay, so we have just a regular rate where they don't have to be ones. Okay, and then a unit rate is something a little bit special in the sense that it needs to have a one. You're going to have to divide, okay, to get a one on the top or the bottom. And again, not forgetting your labels. Okay, so we have a unit rate. And the last one, we have something called a unit cost, which we've already kind of done those. Okay, this, well, let me give you the definition. Okay, so it's kind of like the last one that we did there in unit rates, and they can deal with money too, but unit cost, okay, strictly kind of compares money with an object. Okay, and you're gonna want to find out how much 1 pound cost, 1 ounce is, 1 mile. Okay, one little trick here that I always tell you guys is money, the price of money always goes on top of the rate. Okay, if you can remember that, you're going to be in good shape. Okay, money always goes on top. Okay, so you're going to have to compare, right? That was right here, right? You're going to have to compare. Okay, so you're going to get problems, and we'll work these side by side right here. You're going to get problems that look like this. They're going to say that a 20-pound bag of something you can buy for $17.20. Okay, or you could buy something for $40. Sorry, 40 pounds for $33.60. Now, that's really hard to compare because you have 20 pounds of something and 40 pounds of something. They're not equal, right? So the only way that we can compare, okay, to see which one is the better buy is to find how much 1 pound of something costs. Okay. That's the only way that you can do that, right? Because they're different pounds or different prices. You can't just say, oh, 40 pounds is better or 20 pounds is better because it's cheaper. Well, you don't know that. Okay. So here we go. So finding a unit cost, you put the money on top and you put the other object. In this case, it's 20 pounds of dog food. I don't know. Okay. And then we have to divide to find one of something, right? So if we divide by if we take our, sorry about that, we divide by 20, because remember, we want one of something. We don't want to divide by 1720. That doesn't go, that's not going to make us a 1 on the bottom. That doesn't make any sense, right? So we're going to get 1 pound, right? LBS is pounds. And if we divide $17.20 divided by 20, that's going to give us 86 cents per every 1 pound of that dog food. Okay. On the other hand, if we take $33.60, right? That's our dollar sign, and divide that by 40 pounds, right? And again, we're going to take 40 because we're going to find out how much 1 pound costs, right? So again, we'll be left with 1 pound on the bottom. And let me put that down farther for you. 1 pound And when we divide $33.60 by 40, that comes out to be 84 cents. Okay, so these are the calculations that you're going to have to do right here to find out which one is the better buy. Okay, now in our world at school, okay, and we would get into a lengthy discussion in the classroom, but in our world, when you take quizzes and you take tests, they're going to ask you which one is the better buy. Okay, not only are they going to ask you which one is the better buy, they're also going to ask you to prove it. Okay, what you see right before you by working out the problem and finding the unit rate, or in this case, the unit cost, that is working out the problem. That is showing me that you understand which one is the better buy. So, to my point here, which one is the better buy? In our world, when you answer questions on quizzes and tests, it's always going to be the cheaper one. Okay? It's always going to be the cheaper price is the better buy. Okay? That's not always the case out in the real world with family dynamics and everything like that. Because if you have a really small dog, in this case, if we're talking about dog food, if you have a really small dog, right, a 7, 8, 10-pound dog, you don't really, I doubt if you really want to buy a 40-pound bag and let it sit around for a while if the dog doesn't eat that much. Okay. So that's what I mean by, sometimes it's better for 2 cents a pound more, you buy the 20-pound bag. Okay. But again, just to reiterate, for our purposes, for quizzes, tests, answering questions, when they ask you which one is the better buy is always the cheaper price. Always, always, always the cheaper price. Okay, that's our lesson on 5.2 with rates. Again, if you have any questions, you can email me, or I would highly recommend watching the video again, stopping it and pausing it. All right, good luck on rates.